Shalom and welcome to 2 Minutes of Torah. This year is entitled Question of the Day. Can one who does not have a sense of smell say the Beracha of Besamim at Havdalah for the other people who are there? It would seem to me that would be problematic. This sugya is related as part of the sugya of Araivin Lazeh. Jews are bound to each other, and one Jew can usually make a bracha for someone else to help him fulfill a mitzvah. Person could say the Bracha on Megilla again and again for people that he's being Motzee. Could blow Shofar again and again, make a bracha for those who are Chayiv. Because every time one is Chayiv in a mitzvah, he's Chayiv also to help others who are Chayiv in the mitzvah. That's what's called Araivin Lazeh. So one may say that would apply here as well. That he could say Besamim for others, even though he himself cannot smell and enjoy the Besamim. So the fact that this is a Berachot Hanenin is not necessarily problematic because one could say Kiddush for another person, and that includes Mekadesh Shabbat and Bor Pir Gafen. But if the Berachot Hanenin is part of the mitzvah, then he could do that. Matzah, Pesach night, he could say Motzee and Achila Matzah for another person, even though he is not having the matzah right now, because Lazeh, he could help the person out with that person's mitzvah. To say Motzee and Achilas Matzah. So maybe here too he could say Besamim, even though he's not getting enough for those who have a chiv to listen. Not so simple because of the following. We'll mention 4 different levels regarding this mitzvah. Number 1, if it's just a pure hana, like an apple, the person's having an apple. So I cannot help him. I cannot say appropriate 8 if I'm not eating an apple and say it for the other person. He has no chiv to have the apple, and therefore you can't say he's chayiv in appropriate 8. So therefore I cannot say a Berachot Hanenin for another person who's simply just having hana at that point, and there's no mitzvah for him to have the food. Okay, on the other extreme, you have a case where it's a pure chiv that he absolutely has to have. That he has to chiv that mitzvah. He has to say Shofar now, and therefore I can help him with that. Then we have the case of Motzee for matzah, where I can be Motzee him, even though it's a Berachot Hana, because since the Berachot Hana is part of that mitzvah, then he has a chiv to have that Motzee and a chiv to say Motzee Lachem and Aruch. I can help him with that. So we have the cases on one extreme where it's an absolute chovah. The chovah could be a pure Berachot mitzvah, could be a Berachot Hanenin chovah. But that's one extreme. The other extreme was it's a pure Berachot Hanenin. And then the question is, where does Besamim fit in? So there's another case on Shabbat. For the meals, can I say Motzee for someone else on the Shabbat meals? So there, interestingly enough, one would think, well, you have to have 3 meals on Shabbat, and therefore I can be Motzee just like matzah. And the poskim say I cannot, because really the chiv on Shabbat is not to eat the bread per se, as it is by matzah. Chiv on Shabbat is to have oneg Shabbat. And oneg Shabbat, usually one enjoys the meal, and that's his oneg Shabbat. He says, I really don't want bread. It's like, I just can't. It'd be disgusting for me. He doesn't have to have it, as opposed to matzah, he has to have. So it's not the chiv of the bread per se, and therefore I cannot say Motzee for that individual for the 3 meals on Shabbat. So now, where does Besamim fit in? It's even a lower level. The mitzvah is to try to have Besamim on Havdalah. But it's not a chiv. The Shulchan says I don't have to run after it. So it's even lower level than the 3 meals on Shabbat. 3 meals on Shabbat is, I have a chiv to have oneg Shabbat, and insofar as it's a chiv to have oneg Shabbat, then I have my bread. But since it's not a chiv per se of the bread, I cannot be Motzee someone else. So it turns out we have a lot of levels here. The basic level is just pure hana. I cannot be Motzee someone. Then you have Besamim, where it's a mitzvah to try to go ahead and have Besamim on Sunday night. It's not a real chiv, it's a mitzvah. It's a good thing to have. Then the next level is bread on Shabbat, where it's not a chiyuv per se of bread, it's a chiyuv of oneg, where the bread's a means for that, and I cannot be Motzee people for that. Then you have where the bread is part of a chiyuv like Pesach night, and then you have a pure chiyuv like matzah, like a shofar. So the last two I can be Motzee, others, but the first three is pure hana, where it's a nice mitzvah to have hana like Besamim, and where it is bread as a means to oneg, those three I cannot. There is no Araivin in that case. So it would seem to me that for Besamim, one cannot be Motzee another person in Besamim if he cannot smell himself, and there's no hana, and the bracha is only made for Araivut, then it would seem to me he does not have that opportunity to do Araivut in Besamim. Someone else would have to make the bracha. Shalom.